Hello and welcome back to Real Faith Reviews, your reliable companion through the captivating realm of cinema. Today, we're casting off into the expansive ocean of Cecil B. DeMille's mammoth 1956 epic, The Ten Commandments. If you wish to avoid an in-depth dissection of the film or spoilers, this is your moment to pause. However, if you're prepared to explore the complexities of this timeless biblical narrative, join us on this captivating voyage. The Ten Commandments begins on the Nile's banks, where to save him from Pharaoh Sethi's ruthless decree to slaughter all newborn Hebrew boys, a Hebrew infant named Moses is set afloat. This child is discovered by Sethi's daughter, Bethiah, who adopts him as her own. Moses matures into a noble prince, cherished by the Pharaoh but eyed with envy by Sethi's son, Ramesses. During a trip to a city under construction for Sethi's honor, Moses encounters the stunning slave girl Nefertiri, setting the stage for a complex love triangle between Nefertiri, Moses, and Ramesses. Their interactions bring Moses closer to the plight of the Hebrew slaves. One day, Moses comes across an Egyptian taskmaster brutally whipping an Hebrew slave. Moses intervenes, resulting in the taskmaster's unexpected death. Unbeknownst to him, his act is witnessed. Seizing this opportunity, Ramesses, motivated by jealousy and fear, exposes Moses' Hebrew roots and his crime to Pharaoh Sethi. The revelation sends shockwaves through the court. Sethi, despite his affection for Moses, is duty-bound to uphold his own laws. With a heavy heart, he decrees Moses' banishment into the harsh desert. Stripped of his royal status, Moses finds himself alone, exiled, and facing a future clouded with uncertainty. After his exile, Moses finds refuge in the land of Midian, where he saves Jethro, the Midianite priest's 7 daughters from bandits. Among them is Zipporah, whom Moses eventually marries. He embraces the humble life of a shepherd, far removed from the pomp and grandeur of his previous life as a prince. Moses' existence is fundamentally changed one day, while leading his flock through the desert to the foot of Mount Horeb, also known as the Mountain of God. While on Mount Horeb, Moses witnesses a sight that defies understanding, a bush engulfed in flames, yet not being consumed by the fire. This miraculous spectacle draws him closer, and it is here that he has his first direct encounter with the divine. From the midst of the flames, God speaks to Moses, revealing himself as the God of his fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The significance of this event cannot be overstated. It's a turning point, not just for Moses, but for the course of history. Charged by this divine mandate, Moses' purpose becomes clear. He is to deliver his brethren, the Israelites, from the bonds of Egyptian slavery. This mission terrifies him. He is not a warrior, a statesman, or an orator, but a shepherd. Despite his doubts and fears, the divine reassures him, "I will be with you." This divine encounter profoundly changes Moses. He leaves Mount Horeb a changed man, carrying a staff that can transform into a serpent, a divine symbol of his mandate. He also carries the divine name, "I am who I am," a proclamation of the eternal, self-existent nature of God, and a powerful talisman against the pantheon of Egypt's gods that he is about to confront. Returning to Egypt, Moses and his brother Aaron confront the obstinate Pharaoh Ramesses II. Moses warns of divine punishment if Ramesses does not free the Hebrews. Defiant, Ramesses dismisses these warnings, and thus Egypt suffers the 10 plagues, an unyielding barrage of divine wrath, executed with a blend of practical effects and groundbreaking for its time visual effects that catapult the film into an operatic spectacle of biblical proportions. The first plague turns the Nile into blood, a grim sight that sends shockwaves of horror throughout Egypt and is strikingly portrayed in the film with a chilling visual of the life-giving river turning deadly. Despite this, Ramesses remains stubborn, refusing to let the Hebrews go. This sets off a domino effect of catastrophic events. Hailstorms then decimate the crops. The 9th plague brings an eerie and unsettling darkness that engulfs the land. Despite all this, Ramesses' pride remains unbroken, leading to the final and most devastating plague, the death of every Egyptian firstborn, including Ramesses' own son. The film handles this event with a haunting stillness, depicting the angel of death as a rolling mist that creeps into every home, taking the life of the firstborn. The heartbreaking sight of Ramesses holding his lifeless son is one of the most powerful moments in the film. Only then, broken and defeated, Ramesses releases the Hebrews. However, despite his profound loss, Ramesses, driven by rage and grief, pursues the Hebrews with his army, cornering them at the Red Sea. The Hebrews, witnessing the approaching Egyptian army, are overtaken by fear and despair, regretting their departure from Egypt. However, Moses, confident in God's promise of deliverance, steps forward to face the tumultuous sea. In a sequence that is among the most iconic in cinema history, Moses, guided by God, raises his staff, and the sea parts. The film portrays this miracle with a blend of practical effects and innovative visual effects that maintain their impact even decades later. The sea walls tower on either side. Simultaneously, a pillar of fire descends from the sky, forming a protective barrier between the Hebrews and the Egyptian army, holding the latter at bay. The fire's dramatic portrayal intensifies the scene. As the Hebrews cross the seabed, the film captures their reactions ranging from sheer terror to awe-inspired faith, their hurried steps echoing the urgency of their escape. On the other side, the Egyptian army, held back by the heavenly firewall, watches in frustrated anticipation, underlining the absolute powerlessness of man against divine will. Once the last of the Hebrews reach the opposite shore, the cloud of fire recedes, and the Egyptian chariots charge forward into the seabed. However, Moses raises his staff once more, and the walls of water collapse, swallowing the Egyptian army in a deluge of divine justice. For the Hebrews, witnessing the annihilation of their oppressors solidifies their faith in Moses and the divine power guiding him. The journey in the wilderness is not only about physical survival, it's a spiritual journey too. The film reaches its climax when God summons Moses to Mount Sinai. The mountain, depicted as a towering, formidable, and yet sacred entity, symbolizes the grandeur and mystery of the divine. Upon reaching the peak, Moses receives the 10 Commandments, laws that would form the basis of moral and societal conduct for the Hebrews. The depiction of the divine laws being etched onto stone by the finger of God is a spectacular scene, rich with powerful symbolism and visual grandeur. In the meantime, down in the camp, the people grow restless and fearful due to Moses' prolonged absence. Their faith wavers, and they pressure Aaron to make them gods that they can see and worship. The film beautifully captures their desperation and the human tendency to seek tangible symbols of faith, resulting in the creation of the golden calf from their melted jewelry. When Moses descends from the mountain, carrying the stone tablets with the commandments, he is confronted with a sight of revelry, decadence, and idolatry. Moses' reaction to this scene is a cinematic masterpiece. In his fury, Moses smashes the golden calf, demonstrating not only his anger, but also symbolizing the shattering of the people's misguided faith. The film's portrayal of the idol's destruction, melting and seeping into the ground, followed by a harsh punishment for the idolaters, underscores the severe consequences of their infidelity. The film concludes with an elderly Moses having handed over the mantle of leadership to Joshua, viewing the promised land from afar. He leaves his people with the faith and divine laws etched onto the stone tablets, offering them a path towards a better future. And there you have it, a detailed journey through the 10 Commandments, a film that continues to echo through the decades. As we part ways, if you found this review insightful, kindly consider supporting us by hitting that like button and subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to click the bell icon for notifications on our latest reviews. And if you know someone who might enjoy this review, be sure to share it with them. From Real Faith Reviews, God bless you, and until our next cinematic adventure, keep the faith alive.